Hi, my name's Claire Dreyer. I'm a business consultant at the Florida SBDC here at UNF. Today, I'm here to give you some information about teams. I've got this program for you called the 5 C's to Building a Turbocharged Team. You may be asking yourself, well, maybe I'm a solopreneur or I've just got a few people in my organization and we don't really have teamwork. Well, everything's teamwork, regardless of size. Whether you're a solopreneur, you've got 2 or 3 people, your partners and the people that you work with on the outside, they're all a part of your team. So we want to be able to increase our team effectiveness with everybody that you work with. And here's your 5C strategy. The first C stands for clarity of individual strengths. The second C is communication. The third C is common goal. The fourth C is clarity of roles and tasks. And then the fifth C is about collaboration. So let's dive into each one of those. Before we get started, though, I want to talk about teams and just kind of the way they've come together. You know, have you ever been on a team where you just kind of sat in a room with a bunch of people and you really didn't know who they were, but you had a task or a goal that you had to complete? I think we've all been there. And just by putting people in the room and putting a ribbon around them and calling a team doesn't make them one. So what we want to do is really go back to making sure that you honor and respect each person as an individual first. That will help you to engage them more in teamwork. So we want to think and know about individuals and their strengths, which is where we're going next. So, clarity of individual strengths. We need to know what each person brings to the table and brings to the team. You know, how can I capitalize on that? If I love to do public speaking and I'm great at presenter, I'll guarantee you there's some things that I'm not so good at. But you probably have some members on your team that are great for the other things, that love to do the accounting, love to do the book work, would like to write the program, but they don't want to go out and present it. So how can I capitalize and know what each person's strengths are, and how can they bring that to the table? Knowledge, skills, abilities, and behaviors, and motivators. Well, we need to know, what does someone know? What are the skills? What are they capable of? What are their abilities? If somebody actually, did a hobby where they really love to do art, is that something that they could bring into the workplace? Maybe they do some graphic work for you. And then their behaviors. We have certain behavioral styles where we have different strengths within behavioral styles. Maybe I'm really good at making decisions, solving problems, and maybe I'm really good, articulating things. Maybe I'm great at keeping the pace of the environment that, we like to keep and the culture around the organization. And maybe I'm really great at keeping those rules and regulations and procedures. Those are all really different behavioral strengths and styles, and we need to have all that on our teams. What about motivators? Why? Why does somebody want to do something? If we can really tap into their why and we can marry that on the job, people will actually go home saying, I can't believe they pay me to do this. I love my job. And then, of course, diversity improves your team's collective intelligence. The more diversity we can have on the team, the more we'll be thinking and looking from different perspectives. And we need to have all of that on the table so we can come up with the best ideas and the best resolutions going forward. Communication. Communication is the key to everything. So effective communication is just critical to your team's success. I truly say that if you can't communicate, nothing happens. And have you ever had, where you were given some instructions and maybe you didn't have a chance to clarify and you went away and you did what you thought you were supposed to be doing and you presented it back to, someone and they go, what's that all about? That's a communication breakdown. If we had clarified communication right at the beginning, that person that gave me that task certainly had a better chance of getting what they desired. Leveling the playing field. This is one of the biggest things that I find working with teams is we have an unlevel playing field. Well, and how that comes sometimes is, let's imagine that we're going to have a staff meeting. And in the staff meeting, if I'm in charge of the staff meeting and I say, and I'm thinking to myself, well, we need to talk about, our customer intake. Seems like things have been falling apart there and we're not really onboarding well. So in the staff meeting, I just decided to bring that up. Well, the people that actually handle our customer intake, they are sitting there and they're listening, but they didn't have any time to think about it. So when the meeting's over, I think we've come up with a good resolution, and a couple of days later, one of those people who are actually doing the work comes back to me and says, I've been thinking about that customer intake problem that we've been having, and I really like to make these suggestions. And I'd be saying, where were you in the staff meeting? So one of the things that's really great about leveling the playing field, particularly from talkers and listeners, is giving those people information in advance, giving them agenda. So it gives our listeners time to think about it, and then when they come into the room, It levels the playing field where they're ready to participate. Does that make sense? And then understanding and appreciation each person's communication style. We all have one. And guess what we usually do? We really try to fix other people up to do it our way because it makes it easier for us. But we all have different communication styles. And guess what? If we can let go of judgment of that, and if we can learn other people's communication styles, we have a much better chance of getting the information across to them as well as getting the information back to us. So we really want to learn and understand each person's communication styles. And here at the SBDC, we do have an opportunity because we have some tools to help you with that. So please come and see us if you're interested in that. Common goal. Understanding the common goal. You know, to me, the understanding the common goal, it's like the box top to the jigsaw puzzle. Does everybody really have a clear idea of what it is that we're trying to accomplish, as well as what part do they play? So we want to have a shared vision, so everybody has that same idea of what it is that we want to accomplish to make sure that we're successful. And then we want to work together to accomplish this goal. So what's the common goal and what part do I play in it? And then we want to clarify our roles and our task. So play to each person's strengths, right, as a team member. So if I'm that detail-oriented person and I like taking notes and I like organizing, wouldn't you give that part to me? And if I'm that person who really likes to do the public speaking, or I really can go out and share that information, with the community, wouldn't you like to give me that role? Now, I understand there's all kinds of work that, tasks that none of us like to do, but we all have to do. So it doesn't mean that I'm not always going to be able to do everything that I love to do without having to do some of that other stuff. But if I gave you the real things that you find easy to do, wouldn't you want to do that? So that's what we want to do with our teams. So when we have our projects and clarity of goals and responsibilities, we line that out for each member, as well as we want to have some accountabilities. Because with accountabilities, then I know I can count on you. I know what the deadlines are, because if you look at this project map, everything plays and everything fits in. And for us to get to that common goal at the end, we all have to know what we're responsible for and who's accountable to do each thing. Oh, there's that one other piece, which is empowering with authority. Sometimes we'll give someone a goal and we expect them to get it done, but we forget to empower them that they have the authority to actually accomplish that goal. So that's one real key factor when we think about giving people roles and tasks, is make sure to empower them with authority to get that done. The next piece is collaboration. Collaboration actually is a choice. It's a win-win attitude, and each member on the team is accountable for their tasks and responsibilities for their actions. So if you really go back and think about it, it's like, you put all those people in the room and you expect them to collaborate, but think about what collaboration really is. It's me bringing my best self to the table so we all can win. And we've got to get everybody on our team to do the same thing. We want them to bring their best selves so everybody can win. But in order to be able to do that, we have to set up a scenario where everybody feels like there's a safety involved and that they trust each other to be able to do that. So when they bring their best selves, they bring the team. We now have what we call a collective intelligence that creates solutions where no one team member could have come up with that on their own. So we want to really strive for ways that we can create that collaboration atmosphere so everybody has a chance to participate and we come up with amazing solutions. Oh, I do have a couple of cautions. Assembling a group of people in a room and calling them a team doesn't make them one. So again, we have to, do these things to help build their relationships within each other and being able to identify their strengths and their weaknesses, and then how do we really capitalize that on with a team. And then requiring people to work together doesn't guarantee collaboration. I mean, you may have some issues with some people in the organization, and they may work together, but they may not really collaborate. I may still withhold some information. So we want to make sure that we're setting up a scenario where we can have collaboration. And then when communication breakdowns occur, guess what? Trust goes away as well. So that's why communication is such a key. And trust is the number one issue of what makes an effective team. If you don't have trust, you really don't have a great, effective team. So we have to continue to do things to build trust. So here's one thing you can do, is you can actually rate your team on these 5 C's. you can create a little checklist and say, how are we doing on clarity of our individual strengths? Do we have a way of looking at that? Do we have any type of assessment or tool to help us do that? Or do we just kind of know it? How can we capitalize on that? And then communication. How effective are we doing communication? If I kind of put down everybody's name that's in my organization or on my team and I say, how well do I really think I communicate with Mary? How could I improve that? So put that on a checklist and see how well you're doing. Common goal. Now here's something really interesting. In your next staff meeting, I would challenge you to ask people around the table, what's our common goal on a certain topic or a certain subject or a project that you're working on? I think you'll be surprised at things that you're going to hear. So we want to continue to reaffirm what the common goal is of what we're about and what we're trying to accomplish. And then clarity of roles and tasks. Again, if everybody has clarity of who's doing what, we want to make sure that everybody's on target and offer them the opportunity that if someone is finished with their task, that because they know what other people are working on, they might be able to go help them on their task too, if that person might be having a challenge of getting it done. And collaboration. Of course, collaboration is our win-win. That's what we're working for. And when you have an effective team, everybody really wants to go for what's best for the organization, for our clients, for our customers, and of course, it helps them in their day job for themselves. So if you would like help with your team building, we have a program called Turbocharge Your Team, and you can contact us at 904-620-2476. So again, please come and see us. We would love to help you with your teams.